So yes, now we're gonna live stream this, but yeah, just only for us. Okay.
Okay.
Welcome everyone. This is Shailesh once again, your host for New Zealand World News, bringing you completely real connections of real humans who come here and who share lots of experiences and wisdom as there's their contribution towards the giving back to the communities. And today I am so thrilled and excited to welcome and to bring as a speaker Kelly Tarlton. As everybody knows, Kelly Tarlton is one of the tourist attraction of New Zealand. And if you want to hear from a person who is such an adventurous, that we would like to hear from her more about her rather than I telling you. But this is all about positive outcomes that we come through as a human. How we keep living our journey is the most important aspect of this topic today. And I am thrilled to once again saying that Fiona Tarlton is our guest of honor today to do all the talking and sharing all her experiences. So welcome, Fiona, to this amazing, our website and our YouTube channel, and also our media online, which is more about doing and connecting with people and bringing people together to share their experiences. So I'm excited to welcome you. So welcome, Fiona, to this episode.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for inviting me to speak to you today. So I've been looking forward to it.
Yeah. So tell us something little bit about, I know that you are very adventurous and as a human, and when you grew up and how you grew up and what made you really so bold enough, and like every human is different. However, tell us something about yourself, that how you live your journey and what is your really driving force of your inner self that drives you to all this journey of human.
Okay, so I grew up in the Bay of Islands in New Zealand, and as you mentioned earlier, my father was Kelly Tarlton, who his job basically, as when I was a kid, was that he scuba dived on shipwrecks around New Zealand for 20 years, and my mother ran the family business, the Museum of Shipwrecks up in Waitangi. And but on her side of the family was dairy farms and horse riding. So on my dad's side was all boating and scuba diving, and so I did both. So I rode horses 6 days a week for 6 years, and ultimately instructed horse riding in Japan. And but I've also been scuba diving since a young age. And now I'm a mother. My son, who's now 21, is he's been scuba diving since he was 14. So yeah, we've got a great love of the ocean and
the ocean. I was about to say that.
Yeah, but I think that just growing up in a household where there wasn't much money, like any money which did come in was spent on the next shipwreck expedition, where Dad would try and find artifacts off the ships for the museum. And so a lot of people assume, since he ultimately designed and built what is now known as Sea Life Kelly Tarlton's, but when he originally opened it in 1985, it was Kelly Tarlton's Underwater World. And yeah, it was I don't know, there was it was just this big passion he had since he was 21 years old. But people think that I must be super rich and things, but and must have grown up in a really wealthy environment, but that wasn't the case. But it was always interesting, like there was great dinner parties where we had lots of divers and interesting guests, and like Jacques Cousteau's son came and staged a couple of times, and it was lots of laughter and fun, and but it wasn't always easy for my mother because Dad was often out to sea and she was running this tourism business, and with 2 young girls, there's my sister and myself.
Right.
And yeah, but we've just
Yeah.
had a passion for life, and we appreciate being born in New Zealand. Like, you know, I'm a 6th generation New Zealander on both my mum and dad's side, and yeah, I always say that, you know, remind my son and that how lucky we are to be living in New Zealand with a pretty good health system, and there's lots of adventures to be had, and it doesn't take long to get out to the beach or go to, I don't know, the Greyland Festival or whatever it is. There's things happening, so you just got to make the most of it.
Absolutely. And I think you touched on a very good point, that we Kiwis, or we New Zealanders, we call it, and then we are Kiwis, and we live a totally different life to all other commercial world that the countries live, and their mindset is totally different us.
Right.
We are, as you already said, that, you know, money is not the driving force, it's the passion, it's the things that you like to do, it's the things that you wanted to do, and you could do it easily in New Zealand. So that's one of the highlight of most of the Kiwis' career, that they are very much down to earth kind of and humble. So that's great. So tell us something. So you uncovered, so as a child, you were absolutely, and it's good to see that you are right from your, it looks like it runs in the family, the ocean or the scuba diving aspect, and the nature, close to the nature. That's probably why you have implemented this such a beautiful tourist attraction, Kelly Tarlton, which is all about nature and the other side of the living beings. You know, we know human beings, but there are other living beings, and you have catered for that. So that's a great kind of gift to all the Kiwis over here.
Yeah, I think Kelly Tarlton's dad was very motivated by marine conservation, and so I'm very involved in marine conservation as well. I'm a trustee of the Kelly Tarlton's Marine Wildlife Trust, and so we're trying to help the Hauraki Gulf, which is it's basically all the waters around Auckland and Waiheke, Kowal Island, you name it, around there. And there's a lot of sediment, and there's hardly any scallops, and there's hardly any crayfish left, and there's a lot of kinna, like even the seaweed's disappeared. And so we're trying to make a difference to that. There's other great organizations out there as well, doing a lot of work to try and make a difference to that area. And then I'm also an ambassador for the Endangered Species Foundation of New Zealand, and that organisation is trying to help New Zealand native species. So it might be anything from, I don't know, the New Zealand fairy tern, which has like 37 birds left in the world, from, I don't know, weta to special New Zealand snails to special plants in New Zealand as well. So they're not all, you know, the cute, cuddly little pretty things, but they're still, you know, if we don't do something about them, they will disappear. They'll become extinct. And, you know, you look at the Maui dolphin or Hector dolphin, the Maui dolphin, we've got very few left. And so if we're apathetic and don't do anything about it, it won't be long before we don't have them. And, you know, as a parent, I want to make sure that I've tried my best to make a difference. And I really believe that we can all make a difference in our own little way. It might not be through, you know, marine conservation or conservation, but there might be something that, you know, you have within yourself that is some, I don't know, skills or connection or knowledge that you can be of service somehow. You know, like I do a lot of volunteer things, like basically everything I seem to do is volunteer. But you know, time is precious, but you know, you've got to prioritize what you spend your life doing. And but you know, just look at yourself and think, okay, you know, what's something I can do? Can I help the homeless, or can I pick up the rubbish on the beach, or when I see plastic and things like that, or can I recycle? It all sounds pretty basic, but you know,
no, these are actually what you live. Yeah, this is what actually you make a difference, no matter how small you feel or how
Yeah.
little you think, but it
Yeah.
actually creates a lot of difference because you travel there, you walk there, and so when you walk on a certain street, you want all the street to be good,
Mm.
and not for you,
Yes.
but for everyone. So I understand totally. So Fiona has, how did Fiona as a child develop this liking, or was it inborn with you that to help the other than humans, the species around you and the
Mm.
nature around you? Were you always like that, or were you always in?
I think I always had a love for, um, the sea. I grew up, as I said, in the Bay of Islands. So,
Mm,
uh, and Dad had a boat, but it wasn't a fancy boat. It was probably the roughest
sure.
looking boat around. It was a dive boat with winches and things all over it.
Mm,
Nothing glamorous, and there's no toilet on board. And it's very basic sort of boat.
mm,
But I've just always loved animals as well.
right.
Even like I said about horses, but recently I was really, this might sound a bit silly, but I was very upset because I
Mm-hmm.
don't have a cat or a dog, but at the aquarium there's various pufferfish, and I had my favourite pufferfish I had nicknamed, not very original, but called Puffy.
Uh-huh.
And they only live, from my understanding, I'm not a marine biologist, but I believe
Mm,
they live about 10, 11 years. And anyway,
yeah.
Puffy had spent his time and
Mm,
had passed away. But I'm going to really miss him. Every time I used to go down to the aquarium, there would
right.
be, to have this really interaction with, he had big black eyes. He was, so interactive. And I think there's, a lot you can get from nature, and
Yeah.
you can fall in love with even a pufferfish, so, and a lot of people don't realize, also, when people like fishing and
Mm,
even recreational fishing, and they're catching like a big snapper,
yeah.
a lot of people don't realize how old these snapper are. So I'm looking at that snapper going, oh, that's probably about 65 years old. That's like a
Mm.
granddad, and you're pulling this granddad out of the ocean, and he probably doesn't taste that good anymore. He's probably a bit rugged, and you know, leave that
Yeah.
poor big
No.
snapper alone. He's probably still breeding. Oh yeah, it makes we need more fish in the ocean. Like sharks have had a really hard time,
Mm,
I've with my son, and even before him, I've been in the water with a wide range of sea creatures. So my son and I went up to Vavau in northern Tonga and spent
mm.
10 days there. We never stay at resorts. We always stay at the cheapest place, owned by the locals, and
Yeah.
it's nothing fancy, but we're there, and any money we do have, we'll spend on,
Mm,
like 3 days snorkeling with humpback whales right up close.
yeah.
We're not allowed to touch them, but they're within an arm's reach, literally, and having this amazing experience where my son and I are literally looking into the eyes, or
Mm,
the eye of a huge humpback whale. And we've also, I've been in great white shark cage diving, and with 4 male
mm,
great white sharks, and my son and I went in the water with seals off Kaikoura, and we're the only people in the water. And there
mm,
was a big male bull seal
mm.
having a fight with like a male teenager seal. Like they'd had this big fight in
Yes.
front of us, and I'm trying to back up,
Mm,
move away from this, and trying to get my son to move back. But we didn't get out of the water. We just sort of watched
mm.
it, and we've really had some incredible experiences. But there, most people will go to on holiday, like New Zealanders, they'll go
Yeah.
to Fiji for a holiday, and they'll go to Denarau Island and stay in the Hyatt or somewhere fancy.
Mm, mm,
But when my son was probably about 8 years old, we spent 7 days staying with a big Fijian family on a dirt floor, in their dirt floor house,
mm.
and we're just like a tin roof, and they
Yeah.
cooked on a fire every morning,
Mm,
and yeah, they're like, you see sometimes at resorts, you see the geckos, but there were really big lizards, like, you know, so quite daunting looking lizards
Yeah.
there. And I'd often I'd organise so that I'd send my son to school and for the day. So Niue and Samoa and yeah, but wherever we went, the different island groups over time, you know, Tahiti and things, I'd take a lot of brand new rugby balls or netballs, and you got to deflate them because you can't fly, you know, in Air New
Yeah.
Zealand with them blown up,
Yeah.
they'll pop. And then I'd write a little black love heart, and you know, in permanent marker pen, just a small little black love heart, and then my son's name Tane, and he would give the kids, you know, these balls and sports
Yeah.
gear or otherwise to school, because often on the, especially on the small outer islands,
Yeah.
it's amazing what they don't have. And for example, when we stayed with that family in Fiji, you know, my Tane asked the kids, because he could only see one toy, which was this really dirty, yucky looking old doll. And he said, "Oh, when do you get presents?" Because you know, and I can't remember what they said. It was, they said it's only one time a year, and I can't remember if it was their birthday or Christmas, but one time a year. And Tane thought back about, you know, his life in New Zealand and all the sports gear he's got, and the skateboards and bicycles, and yeah, so, you know, it really put things in perspective for him. And and so when we got home, we packed up boxes and of glitter and stickers and all these sort of fun things for kids, and we sent them to the school. And you know, just because it cost, you know, it costs so much to actually send them because the postage to these outer islands isn't easy, but you know, just not taking things for granted. And yet these children were so friendly, and same with the families. And yeah, it's a good learning curve because you don't take things for granted. And
Yes. Yes.
you know, so you got to
But
keep things in
also the
perspective.
good, yeah, I could see that if I have to ask you, like in your experiences that you said, okay, this is, you don't have a fancy in the mind that I had to do this and do that, but you just went along, and to the nearest and the lowest kind of, when people think about that, okay, where do I stay and how do I stay and why I should be staying there. You were not about that. It was more about real experiences that you were taking from going to places where nobody has probably wished to go or want to go, possibly, you know?
Yeah. Well, one thing in life, like, you know, so you've only got a limited amount of time. My father died at 47 years old, 7 weeks after, like, you know, the aquarium. He had so many other plans he wanted to do in life. It was to do with his heart. And so he certainly, you know, wasn't prepared to end his, you know, that his life would stop so short. But you know, I learnt from when I was 18 years old. I was living in America as an exchange student with AFS, going to American high school for the year. And even that, like, yeah, you know, there's definitely something about, like, feel the fear and do it anyway. So, you know, I'd done all these interviews and never thought that I'd, you know, be chosen as an AFS exchange student halfway around the world. And when I did get it, I didn't really want to go because I had to sell my horse. I had to break up with my boyfriend. I had to say goodbye to my closest, you know, girlfriend. And yeah, and I'd never met this family I was going to live with. All I really knew about America was from, you know, sitcoms or whatever, or you know, movies. And yeah, so it was quite daunting, but I'm so glad I did, because that did change my year. But at the same time, my father died 7 months into that year, and so that was horrific. And all of a sudden I found myself within 12 hours on an airplane all the way across from the East Coast of America, you know, to LA, stopping in Hawaii, you know, just to change flights because you couldn't do direct flights then, or back to New Zealand to see the aquarium opened. But yeah, so you know,
So,
you've got to make the most of it, and yeah, so and often in life, like you might have your own personal goals,
mm,
which other people think are ridiculous and not worthwhile.
mm,
And
yeah,
but you know, if you want to do them, if, you know, like I've got goals I really want to do, and people think, why would you want to do that? That sounds really odd. You
yeah,
know, I'd love to get in the water with whale sharks. So
wow.
the biggest fish in the water, you know, in the ocean. But
Mm,
you know, there's you know, they hardly ever come to New Zealand. So you've got to fly quite far, and that's quite
mm,
expensive to go to, you know, Mexico or Philippines, or even Exmouth, sort of 1,200 k's north of Perth. So
mm,
uh, you know, it's not going to be the cheapest thing to do, but I'd really love to do that. So
mhm,
you know, you know, just make your own personal goals and just
mm,
work towards it, even if you just do little steps.
mm,
You know, I'd love to go to Antarctica and also the Auckland Islands,
mm,
south of New Zealand, where there was a shipwreck called the General Grant, which had lots of gold on it, which my dad led
mhm,
a couple of expeditions to. But it's the Southern Ocean. It's a,
yeah,
you know, it can be a daunting
that's it.
ocean. You
Yes.
know, big waves, doesn't matter what size boat you're in. And but I'd love to do that. So these are
Yeah,
things I send emails. You know, I try and make things happen, give things a go, and hopefully somehow, you know,
yeah,
yeah, when you least expect it, all of a sudden, bang, yeah,
yeah.
from one email to a phone call to the next, your life can change. So, and
So,
that's one thing I just also just to jump subject a little bit. So
mhm,
you know, I'm now 55 years old, and throughout my life, I've known people who have committed suicide, and it's just been, you know,
mhm,
so shocking. But I
mm,
always say to, like, you know, I've met some young people who get depressed and they get,
mhm,
you know, sad and things,
yeah,
and even people in their 50s do when they say have financial problems and things like that.
correct.
But just always remember, be patient. Because from literally from one moment to the next, it can change. Like
Yes,
life is just full of changes. Nothing stays the same.
yes.
So if you're really depressed at the moment, life's really,
Mm,
you know, shitty at the moment,
mm,
just wait. You know, hang in there. You know, talk to somebody.
yeah.
Phone call. You know, have a cup of tea. Whatever. Just don't do anything rash, because
Mm,
you know, if you're that low, it
yeah.
can only go up. It can only go up. So just
Mm,
yeah, and think of the family and all the people that do love you. So
mm. So I wanted to ask you, you touched on very good point of emotional well-being, that how you make yourself emotionally controlled in your own skin and in your own way, rather than depending on others or asking. But the good point you made was communication. Talk to
mm,
people,
yes.
and no matter whatever situation, no rash decisions. There is always a change. It is not permanent. All these things that you said is absolutely amazingly accurate when it comes to human. I believe the same. I'm in that same situation where I don't depress easily or get easily depressed, because ultimately it's going to change,
Mm,
and we don't have to worry about it. So I definitely agree with that concept. Tell us something that tell me, when you had this experience of you going, taking that bold decision and going away, so going outside your comfort zone, and
mhm,
then finding within few months your dad no more, it's a
mhm.
great setback, very much setback for you. But then you dealt with that, all the situation, and you never said that, okay, now I'm going to leave this and come back, or I'm going to leave that and come back. No rash decision, no drastic decisions, but
Mhm.
just living the life. Tell us something. How was your mental state at that point, and how did you really manage to do
Right.
the emotions that
Well,
were running through?
yeah. Well, you know, I had a supportive mother and
Mm,
sister, and that made me realize, you know, how vital they are in my life. So,
yeah.
yeah, so it affects you that, you know, if my sister and I have an argument, five
Mm,
minutes later, you know, we
mm,
move on, we got it sorted. Just, you got to be forgiving at times. And
yes.
also, if you know, we're all works
Yeah.
in progress. If you make a mistake, if you
Yeah.
grumpy or whatever, you apologize. I'm always the first person to know if I mess up. So yeah, just be kind to other people, and but also
Like
life
owning
goes
up
on,
your
and
responsibilities.
what's that, sorry?
You think owning up your responsibilities at all the times
Yeah.
and making that comfortable to others and around you and surround you, because there is nothing called this is it and this is the only way or this is the only highway. That's nothing of that
Yeah.
sort. So,
Yeah. And also,
mm,
like when Dad died, he was still, I realized I was really lucky that I did have an interesting father who was,
mm,
he was very kind. He used to read bedtime stories, or to my sister and I. I'd actually create stories a lot of the time, and
uh-huh,
I was really grateful for that. But that's his life motivated me to be an archaeologist,
mm,
and so I did my master's degree and got first class honours from Auckland
yeah,
University, and I worked as an archaeologist, and
mm,
even worked in American Samoa for a while,
mm-hmm,
and that was this is years ago, but yeah, you don't have to. That's the thing nowadays, is that you don't have to choose like one career and stay with it. You can,
yeah,
there are other things you can do in life. Like it's
mm,
some people are lucky in that they know exactly, oh, right, I want to go from this
mm,
is what I want to do in life, and so therefore they know what subjects they've got to do at university or trade school or wherever it is.
yeah,
But there's, you can do many diverse things in life now. So
mm,
just keep learning, just keep upskilling, and have interesting conversations, and
mm.
listen to people, and ask questions. And even if you might look like a bit of a dork, but
I,
you don't actually, maybe it's a silly question or something, but throw it out there and just ask.
That's
So
why I'm going to ask you one silly question. Tell
please
me,
do.
tell me, adventurous, you are so fascinated by birds and endangered species, and you always wanting to do something as a soul, as a human and as a living being. Do you think that adventurous is one of the major driving force that all people should have in some or the other, that are adventure?
Um, well, I just think
Because,
adventure is a bit of excitement in life. So adventure
yeah,
doesn't have to
excitement.
be. I mean, I've done things like parachuted from 20,000 feet,
Oh,
and we
wow.
got to breathe
Okay.
oxygen to get up to that level. And I've done the highest bungee jumps in Nevis, and the highest in New Zealand, and
Okay.
a whole wide range of things. But
Mm.
yes, but even just even something as simple as get on your emails, and look up, if you live in Auckland, look up Auckland events, or
Yes.
there's so
Yes.
many different fun, free things happening around. We've got an amazing art gallery, and I've just been this week and seen the Frida Kahlo,
Yeah.
Diego Rivera exhibition, and that costs $25. But next door, it's free to go and see the Robin White exhibition, which is fantastic, with huge
Mm.
tarpa cloths and things. And we've got there's so many different festivals happening, and street festivals, and just get involved. Do
Yeah.
something, and whatever whatever your interest is.
Mm.
It does. It might be something which is very, I don't
Mm.
know, it's just something quiet, like, I don't know, knitting, crocheting. So who knows,
Mm.
something like that. But just
But tell me something.
follow your passion and get involved and find out what's going on around town, what
Yeah.
clubs there are, or,
Hmm.
but also be really open. Like one thing, I am I am very open to opportunities. So,
Hmm.
for example, about 2 years ago, it was a really hot sunny day. I was out at Ardmore because they had the warbirds, the old airplanes flying around, the vampire moths. And anyway, it was
Yeah.
a really hot day, and I was waiting for a girlfriend of mine to turn up,
Mm.
and she was late arriving. She had an old classic car, and anyway,
Mm.
and while I was standing there, there were these men with all their jeeps, because it's just like a military thing,
Right.
and they offered me a seat in the shade, and And within 5 minutes, because I'm like, oh, you got Jeeps? And I said, well, I learned to drive on a Toyota Land Cruiser. I really like four-wheel driving, and I four-wheel drive around various, Waitangi Forest and Kumeu, and I've done quite a bit of four-wheel driving. And they said, oh, well, we're actually organising, we've already organised a four-wheel drive trip for this Manukau Four-Wheel Drive Club from Auckland to Stewart Island. Would you like to come with us? And I said, yes, let's do it. And they put me to work. I had to be on the I was in the lead vehicle, I was on the radio, had to learn the sort of terminology to keep the 14 vehicles with like all the families and the different sorts of four-wheel drives in line going over. Never seen the South Island in that way because we were off the beaten track. So I'm just saying that sometimes you just say yes and make it happen. It's like, do your research later. And other example, I was talking, I actually got a message from a man called Rob Hamill, who has won he rowed the Atlantic and won this big international rowing event from Europe right across to the Caribbean with another man called Phil Stubbs. So it took them like 41 days or something. It was, imagine rowing through the night, 24 hours a day in this little bathtub almost. Anyway, he and his wife, and she's like a triathlete, Rachel Hamill, and their three sons, they've been sailing all, big, large parts of the world on a catamaran, Javelo, and they have a series called Cruising Kiwis. Anyway, I just said to him, I've always wanted to experience blue ocean, the horizon all the way around. And I said, the only time I've actually done that, I was on a big cruise ship, and it wasn't really the same as, and he said, well, why don't you join us for a crossing? And so from New Zealand or Whangarei to Suva in Fiji via Minerva Reef. And so he said, we're leaving in about 2 months. And so all of a sudden I'm like, who do I know who's got yachts? And so contacted whoever I might, even people who might know somebody who knows the yacht and has a yacht. And so I was joining in with the rum races on Friday afternoons down Royal New Zealand Yacht Squadron, and just trying to learn and watching YouTube videos and just trying to give myself some sort of sense of what's involved in yachting and sailing. And so you can just make things happen. And
So that's great. So tell me something. After COVID, many people were all in that situation. I can't do this, I can't do that. But here you are, Fiona, going from accepting every single opportunity, no matter whatever circumstances coming in your way, and accepting that. That's amazing. A message also to all and everyone that, you have to come out of your comfort zone. Tell me something, how did you find after COVID or during COVID that people were restricted in many things to do, but there is always things to do, as you always say, and you always have accept that. How did you manage your emotional well-being at that point? Being such an adventurous, being such an open person and not getting to do things that maybe you wanted to do, but
it wasn't easy.
It wasn't easy.
I think I ate too much and probably put on some weight, which
I didn't drink.
I'm definitely a work in progress with
okay.
Portion control was definitely a problem for me, but I eat healthy food, but too much of it. So I just tried to
any positive outcomes?
Friends and a few phone calls and things like that, and supporting people, friends support you, and emotionally and vice versa. And I talk to my mother every morning. She's also in Auckland, living in Auckland, but she's a big part of my life. So and just involve yourself with people who you love and who love you. But for example, like my son, he so on the day the pandemic was announced worldwide, he flew off. He flew to Europe via Asia, where it was definitely a bit of a worry. But he had decided that despite the pandemic, despite the world airports and everything closing down, and
Yeah.
this big, terrifying unknown scare for the
Yes.
world. He
Yes.
wasn't going to let that stop him. He wanted to work on a super yacht, and
Mm.
so he was vaccinated, and actually he wasn't vaccinated when he left New Zealand, but because
No, you couldn't be. Mm.
it was not easy. Remember how you had to wait your turn depending on
Yes.
the age
Yeah.
group?
Mm.
Anyway, so young people were the last to get vaccinated, but when he got there, he got vaccinated. He went to doctors in Germany and got vaccinated. And anyway, so he's been working on super yachts for the last few years, and he's crossed the Atlantic Ocean and the Mediterranean. He's been in Turkey and Malta, Spain, France,
Yeah.
Italy, Montenegro, Croatia. So he's now 21, but he
Mm.
didn't let it stop him either. It's often, it really is about your mindset, and
Yeah. I
you know,
was about to
if you've
say.
got a goal and you really want to make it happen, you
Mm.
just you try every way possible to make it
Mm.
happen.
Mm.
So
Mm.
use your contacts or look, research online, like find out what organizations out there, or
Yeah. But
there's ways of making it happen.
because it's a long period of time for a human to be in that zone when pandemic happened. This was for the first time everybody had to sit at home. It was more like a can't go out and can't enjoy the sun, the nature, all the things, which was very
Yeah.
disturbing for many people who was loving natures like you, who is always in the nature, who is always in the outdoors, and you want to do those. So I wanted to ask you, like, it's a long period of time, and how did you kept your emotional in check and controlled?
I think like everybody, I struggled a bit,
Mm.
and yeah, I just tried to occupy my time and get through it. I knew that it wasn't going to be
Mm.
forever.
Mm.
I got heavily vaccinated, even
Yeah,
though
yeah,
I had friends who weren't, and it was,
yes,
obviously a really controversial subject. But
yeah,
also, my mother had developed breast cancer,
right,
and so I had to be supportive of her and take her
yes,
to
yeah,
oncology appointments and things, and
yeah.
um, but just I don't know, just
Did you do some,
just wore a
what were
mask.
the,
I still get
tell it,
outside, go for a walk, whatever was needed, so to
what did you
keep
think
my
as a
spirits up.
positive? Did you find any positives in those time? Because a different life it was
Yeah,
altogether to what you
yeah.
were doing.
Well, it made people reprioritize what is important in my
Yeah,
life.
yes,
It might be, your family, and your family's not always your biological family.
yeah,
Family can be
true.
your chosen family, because
Yes, I
there's some
agree.
people out there who've had a really hard time. I've got friends from the LGBTQI community, and I've
Mm.
heard some really sad stories about some families, maybe due to religion or something like that,
Yeah.
not accepting them for being gay and pray the gay
Mm.
away and all that sort of thing. And so
Yeah.
they basically got thrown out of the family, and so their family are now their friends. So but whoever you have as supportive, positive people in your life, because there are a lot of people who, if you start leading,
Mm.
a full life, like there's people who get jealous,
Mm.
because and they don't want, they don't want to see you,
Yeah.
doing all these things, and and I've had even like, so I have a lot of fun with clothes, and
Yeah.
something maybe sounds really maybe a bit shallow to some people. Oh, you're right. Woo, where'd you
Yeah.
go? I'm sorry about that.
Mhm.
So often I
Yeah.
wear my hair in a big beehive, and
Mm.
wear a lot of vintage clothes. I love op shopping, and once again, that doesn't require much money, but
Mm.
I create my own style. I have fun with that, and
Mm.
through that, I've been asked to judge a lot of competitions,
Yeah.
from beauty competitions to
Yeah.
costume events to a wide range of fun things. You don't get paid for them, once again, but it's
Yeah.
just fun to get involved, and it's an honor to
Absolutely.
be asked. And you meet, and
Absolutely.
I'm judging Miss Africa New Zealand next
Mm.
May, and just meet some really neat people, and also they often raise a lot of money for charity, and
Yes. Yes.
And anyway, yeah, so just don't be afraid to be yourself. You know, I find that, I'm very colorful,
Yeah.
and as a result of that, it makes people smile a bit, when you, I'm not all in black, and
No.
I'm not really into the whole natural look so much, but obviously with scuba diving and a wide range of things I do, I'm not always wearing makeup and false eyelashes or something, but just don't be afraid to experiment with your style and just have fun with it, because I find that so many people will come and have a chat to me, or just I meet strangers where like, people who consider strangers who I don't necessarily know,
Yeah.
but I do make friends easily. Find that people are open up to me, because I look approachable, and I am approachable because I'm very open-minded. I'm liberal. I listen to people. I give people big hugs, and just But at the same time, you've got to be careful, because I've been as there's some people who don't like that, and I've been assaulted twice. I don't know if I've got a big scar on my forehead where so two men who I wasn't even speaking to, I had not spoken to them. One just I was at both times I was at like a pretty fancy place. I was all dressed up, and I was with friends around me. You'd think it'd be a really safe environment, but there's two separate times, a year apart. One time, this guy who's like 6'5" just reached into the circle of the people I was standing with, grabbed my wrist, and pushed my arm as hard as he could. Okay. Wow. And he wouldn't release. It was just unbelievable. Somebody I hadn't spoken to, I hadn't done anything to. And then this other time, I'd been told to go into the special, beautiful room upstairs in this Ponsonby bar. And I went with a man. I walked in there with a man, and this man came rushing up to me and just swore really badly. Right, he grabbed me and was pushing me backwards through the door, and then he baseballed through a heavy glass at my head, and I had blood pouring down. And he didn't touch the man who I was with, just me. And I wasn't carrying any alcohol. I hadn't done anything to him, but apparently it had been his party, and he can't remember. There was a whole court case all about it. I had to follow that all the way through. It was very emotionally upsetting, because I didn't know, who he was. I didn't know his name. So all that time when I'm out and about, because I'm very social, and Auckland's a small town, so there's this man out there, and he's free, and he could see me again, and I wouldn't even recognize him, but he might assault me again. And anyway, but I with the help of my mum, we followed all the way through until the court case, where I did actually speak to the judge. And so I don't know, I'm just saying that it can be a dangerous world out there when you're not doing anything wrong.
And I think you have touched a very important point, but also with that kind of circumstances and situation and after effect, which is what disturbs a person throughout for some time. And dealing with that is one of the challenges that any person goes through, and then they take a wrong decision or a rash decision. But you probably did totally different, and you changed the tide of your direction, I would say.
Well, I did lots of therapy. I decided that, there's been various times in my life where, after getting assaulted, and I'm thinking, people people say on social media or something, and say, "Oh, but you must have done something. You must."
Yeah, that's what I'm about to say. That
victim blame.
Yeah,
victim blame me. And I'm like, I didn't even know the guy. I hadn't spoken to him. He just, anyway.
So you didn't knew these people, both the people you didn't knew, basically.
Yeah, no, not at all. I didn't even
No.
know their names. I'd never met them before in my life. And yeah, anyway, and yeah, so I did lots of therapy, and also, I've been married twice in my life, and I've been emotionally hurt by being cheated on, and so there's been various times where I've decided to put, either reading self-help books, going to a counselor, like you actually, when your marriage ends, I think you get like 10 free sessions of counseling. You can also do marriage counseling together with to try and save your marriage, but you can also get solo counseling paid for, I think through ACC or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's worthwhile to do. Just do it if you ever. It's worthwhile doing, and also there's been courses I've done. So Kurik Ashley, who was the personal trainer of Tony Robbins, and anyway, I went up to North Harbour Stadium for a weekend and just sort of drove up there each day, and you end up doing fire walks, so 2 meters of burning embers, which they've had big logs burning all day, and then at night time, that's when you're going to walk across these burning hot embers, and it's very daunting because but you've got to. He's taught you how to sort of get different hemispheres of your brain all sort of pumped up, and anyway, so I walked the first. The first time I walked it, and then right at the very end, one of my feet got burnt, and you feel it, like your skin sizzles.
You're right.
Oh, but as you just right, there's somebody with a hose right as you step off onto the grass sort of area, and then they cool your feet down. But because of that, I said to myself, right, well, the whole idea is feel the fear and do it anyway. And so I went back and I lined up and I walked it again. I did it again, and I didn't speak to anybody. I didn't tell anybody that I burnt myself, or I just went and lined up and did it again because I wanted to prove to myself that to feel that fear and do it anyway. And I got through it the second time without burning myself. And I just wanted to say also that, like, I've had some pretty near-death experiences where.
Oh wow!
So when I was in my early 20s, I decided to do what they call a static line solo parachute jump. So I had to climb out this plane, and I was out west at Parakai, and you climb out along the sort of metal bars of the wing, and then you release. But it's there's a strap, like a rope, that once you jump off, it will pull the ripcord of your parachute. So that's the only thing you don't have to do, is pull the ripcord. And so I jumped off, and I went to do the basically the ripcord was pulled, and I looked up, and the parachute is meant to be kind of flat and out, but instead it was like this.
It was like
and
this.
I am plummeting towards the ground, and I was only, because it was a static line jump, it was a really low jump from like 3,000 feet to low. The ground is approaching super fast, and so this is what, 30 years ago or so, and so there's nobody with a little earpiece, giving you instructions. I'm by myself up in the air, plummeting, and I looked up, and you looked up, and I saw, right, all these strings are just completely tangled. There's like all these strings that were, heaps of them were really tightly tangled, like, and obviously I had a huge adrenaline rush. And I thought, right, what are my options? You've got to stop, mentally, and to go, what are my options? My options are, I can try and untangle those strings somehow, or I can try and pull the secondary parachute. And I thought, but what if that doesn't work? And so I thought, right, I'm going to go for the strings. And I just kicked my legs, and with all my strength, I basically undid, like, I spun myself, And then after a while, when I went and I spun around and the parachute opened, and I was completely off course because I drifted basically, but I managed to direct the parachute and I landed on my feet.
So it must be
And
very
the most
scary.
relieved person in New Zealand.
I bet it was a very scary experience that
Yeah.
you had. I mean,
Yeah.
near-death experience, definitely you call
Yeah.
it near-death experience.
Yeah, but as soon as I landed, I thought to myself, right, I've got to do that again because I've got a fear about it now, so I have to do it again. And of course, my mum and sister, and also my husband at the time, all said, "Don't be bloody stupid! Like you'll, don't be ridiculous. Like you've done it once, that's enough." And I said, "Okay, here's the deal. I'll sit through the last day of the course again." But I am going to do it. I'm definitely going to do it. But I promise you, I'll sit through the last day of the course again. And I did. And I all went well. I took it really seriously. And, I wasn't all hyped up. I was really quiet in the plane. And I did it. And yeah. So,
No,
So if you're ever in a situation where you're probably going to die, or you think, oh my God, my number's up, you got to stop and consider, what are my options? What have I got available to me? I've done things with scuba diving where I'm, underwater caves and things. And anyway, So just consider your options and try not to panic. Slow your breathing down. Try not to, consider that. And it's amazing what you can survive.
Yeah. And
Life is good.
It's amazing after survival how much you have got that wisdom and experience to share and to say I've done it and feel good about yourself that yes, I've done it. And no matter whatever situation, circumstance, you've been through a lot.
Yeah.
So no, that's amazing. That's great insights, Fiona. It's amazing to hear from your experiences, the way you have pulled yourself, also going through all the challenges at a very young age, taking that bold decisions at every step of your life. As you always say that it's a calculated risk or whatever risk that you have taken.
Yeah.
It's something amazing.
Actually, that's important. Like what you said there about, that's something. So okay, all these, whatever venture or whatever the thing is that you want to do. One thing which did cost a bit of money, which but my son and I went to Hawaii, and but once again just staying in little local places, and but we decided that there's this big active volcano not on Waikiki but on the big island Hawaii, and so there's various helicopters and things you can experience the volcano with, and but I wanted to do the extra adventure with the helicopter with no doors, so you couldn't take your arm outside. I think so. There's wind bloody whistling through. But
you're a real fearless, Fiona. You're not fearful. You're fearless.
Yeah. Well, no, but I'm not silly either. And that.
No, I mean.
But I did a lot of research. So there's different companies, and I'm like, okay, so which is the best safety record for the helicopter companies? And then I did research about, out of all the helicopter pilots, who's the best helicopter pilot? And so I decided to go to this one particular company, and then I knew that I wanted this pilot who had just flown in Afghanistan, getting all these American military guys out of battle, and he had been frontline, so I thought, if anybody's going to get us out of any trouble, if we have to crash land onto the volcano, he'll be the one to get us out. And so we were flying 50 minutes right over the whole crater, watching the lava right below us, like this orange leaping lava. And when I did that highest tandem parachute jump in New Zealand, it was only one place at the time you could do that, which is Fox Glacier. And but a month beforehand, I'd already researched, there's like 12 different instructors.
Right.
And I knew that the one I wanted was, what was his name? Was it Henry or Harry? Anyways, I knew it was this one particular guy because he'd been working there the longest. He knew he knew that that area. He had done so many jumps. And then so I emailed saying, oh, look, I want this guy, and he's definitely working that day, right? And I'm not going to be jumping with anybody else. I want him. And yeah, so I made sure that when I did do this highest tandem parachute jump, that it was with him. And also when I arrived, I found out that he just had his wife and he had just had a baby. So that made me feel even more rest assured that, this guy wants to live. He's, we're going to be landing.
Right. Okay. One more thing that I wanted to just touch on that, you talked about like opportunities not to miss, saying yes to all great opportunities despite your fear and everything.
It doesn't have to be every opportunity. If you've got a gut feeling, if your instinct is telling you you can't trust these people or something's up about this, listen to your instincts. I'm not saying do everything.
So how do you self-talk to yourself? Tell me something.
Right.
How do you self-talk to yourself?
Yeah.
That I'm confident and I'm doing this and I can do this and there is nothing wrong in it. I am easy, okay, So that is all acceptance of the adventure that come in our way and in everyone's lives.
That's right.
But it's the acceptance of it, right? Basically, what you're saying is to accept it just the way you have to receive and just the way you receive, basically. So I'm thinking, like, tell me, we are now almost going to close this. Just wanted to touch on the last bit of it was, so the positives outcomes, or do you always do things with a view or as a condition that you act, or you just go with the flow that you think, being a very fearless person and also adventurous person, and also it gives me a little bit of emotional mindset that we have. Everybody has got different mindset, but what do you see yourself? What will be your message? Like, okay, do you do it spontaneously, or do you plan, or do you have conditions to do something? How do you react to all the different things that comes in your way?
Yeah, well, a bit of both. I definitely plan. Like with my time, I have I'm old-fashioned, and then I've got a book diary. And because I'm often helping my son with things as well, even if he's halfway around the world, I'm still very involved in his life, and I'll research for him. So if he's going to a certain area, I want him to know what's really worthwhile, but also what dangers might be there. And when he was in Mexico, I was worried, his kidnappings and all that sort of thing, which go on. But let me give you an example where so I sailed to Fiji and with Rob Hamill and family, and then about a day or so out from Fiji, I got really sick. I was in serious pain, and that serious pain stayed there for about 6 days. And until I decided that, because I thought we'd run out of fresh drinking water, and we had a machine that turned salt water into fresh water, and I thought it was something like that, some gastro problem. So I was trying to ride it out, and I thought I'd get better, but I wasn't getting better. So I ended up going on this local bus ride, all 4 hours, all the way around to the airport, and flew back. I didn't tell anybody on the flights, because I knew they wouldn't let me on the plane. I got back to New Zealand and ended up in hospital in New Zealand, and told that I had an extremely inflamed appendix and I'm lucky to be alive. And but I was also thought, well, I'm really glad that I'm in a New Zealand hospital, and
I know.
And but so I was in hospital there for about 8 days or so, and I got this message from a designer, a clothing designer, person called Lennon, and who had been on a TV show, was it Project Runway New Zealand? Anyway, he asked me, New Zealand Fashion Week's coming up at Aotea Centre, would I model? Would I be a model for him? And I was in my 50s, And
Doesn't
I'm a
matter.
bit overweight, I'm no skinny size 8 or anything. And he didn't know that, I don't think he knew that I was in hospital, and I couldn't even stand up then. I had all these drains in me. I couldn't even walk properly then. And he was talking about in 2 weeks' time. And I just said, yes, I can do that. Yes, I'd love to. Thank you. And and actually, one good thing was that, the appendix and not eating, I actually did lose a bit of weight, so I looked all right. Managed to fit into the clothes, and right before, so here I was on the main runway of New Zealand Fashion Week, and I find that one thing which is really important, what works for me, is right before I walk out, or if there's anything you're going to do, whether it's public speaking or anything which makes you nervous about, like that, often I'll just stand for a moment, I'll close my eyes, and I'll give myself positive self-talk, and I, do good posture. I put my shoulders back and try and have a bit of a stretch, and good posture, and tell myself, oh, you look gorgeous, or
Absolutely.
you look amazing. Everybody's going to love you, and you're going to walk really steadily, and you're not going to, don't even say you're not going to fall over. You're going, I'm going to walk confidently and steadily, and I'm going to do my turn. I'm going to get to the end, and really just doing that, just taking that little bit of time to, for me, close my eyes and center myself. And get my posture right and my thoughts right, and just do it, and just
do it.
do it. And then afterwards, it's like, woohoo!
You did it.
I did it. I didn't fall over.
Exactly. And people didn't made any big critics. So no, I think that tells a lot about the confidence that you have, and you have grown. And every time we grow from incidents and circumstances that we face, but putting those confidence into reality, or in implementing those and really living that the way as that confidence is the key for our success as a person or as a human. Success is not money making or property making or all that. To me, success is all these little things that you said, like passing through, going through it, and then making it your own, and then also, like, self-talking what you said there, and asking yourself that I'm going to do this and I will do it, irrespective of whatever physically, mentally your situation, circumstances was. You had come out of that every time, basically.
Right. Yeah, I think something, it's really about being your own best friend.
Right.
Okay, so what would your best friend say to you before you did something? If you're nervous about something, if you're scared about something, what would your best friend say? Because you don't have to listen to all that negative shit that's going on in your brain at the moment, because we've all got negative self-chatter, and there's always going to be things we're not happy about ourselves with. Like I said, we're all works in progress. People have different addictions. It can be anything from drugs to food to gambling, you name it, whatever their thing is. But there are ways through. You can build up your confidence, and you can, just try and be your own best friend. Be kind to yourself. It's not always easy, because there are times where we're going to feel a bit low, because life can be really tough and stressful and challenging. But I think there's going to be good people who will support you, who
absolutely,
and I think if you're a good person, you're going to attract good people as well. But you always be streetwise. Don't be naive. And can also be people who want to use you, or so be very careful. Don't be silly. Like think.
Just like when I say that, don't be silly by drink driving. It's a silly. It's a silly mistake. Don't do that. You can drink, but you don't have to drive drinking.
That's right. That's right.
I think very well said that.
Okay.
No,
Thank
thanks.
you.
Thanks, Fiona, for your great insights. As listeners, you can see Fiona has gone through lots of things, and don't think she's just a Kelly Tarleton, or well, she's just a daughter of the Tarleton, but she's a human being first and foremost. And the second thing is she has lived her journey. As you can see, what we can learn or seek from that is lots of challenges she has faced, lots of decisions that she has taken at a very young age, and to go through and come through this stage, and then dealing with all that by her own mindset, and by how changing the direction of her thinking and thought process and mindset is what is important for all our emotional well-being, no matter whether we are in COVID, whether she had a violent attack or anything. But it's all happens some to someone, everything happens to everyone, some or the other. And the question is, how do you go about it, and how do you change your life's journey about it? That's more important. So today we had this great pleasure of Fiona, who is not just is not just a very humble and human being, but she has shared her experiences and wisdom for all of us to understand that life is too short, but life is also adventure, because she's adventurous. So life is an adventure in reality anyway. Everything that you face, you don't know what it is you will receive. Accepting that and moving is the most important key thing that I learned from you, Fiona. So I really appreciate this. Great. What will be your final message to the audience who are listening? Basically, tell me.
I think, yeah, just create your life. Have as much fun as you can create, and whatever your passion is, follow that through. Yeah, don't listen to people who try and drag you down. Just it's your life, and look after the ones you love and who love you, and surround yourself with good people and good information. Just be grateful. Be very grateful about living in New Zealand and the life we've got. And there's a lot of agencies and organisations who are there to help as well.
To help,
but don't forget to help too, where you can, with any sort of volunteer work, or just be a good person.
No, that's a great message, Fiona. You have to communicate, you have to talk to people if you are in trouble, or this, not keeping for yourself, but just communicating is a key thing. So here you are. Fiona Fiona is a colorful life that she has got, and she's still maintaining that, and she's keeping doing that. That's the best part of it, no matter what state you are in life, and you accept as well. So once again, thank you, Fiona, for this great insights. I really appreciate, and we would love to bring you back on certain different topics that you could touch and give us some good feedbacks. Okay.
That would be. You let me know a bit more about that, and
absolutely. But no, for today, absolutely, for all the listeners, real reflections. This is all real connections, real reflections. This is all about human connections, and this is all about real human talking real things, and not from the book. But so Fiona is in self. I personally like to say, Fiona is a book in itself. So if you want to know, if you want to know more about Fiona, you can definitely give us a feedback and ask us anything, and then we can pass on to Fiona. So
Okay. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate
thank you, and
we'll chat with me.
We'll chat soon.
Okay. Right. Brilliant. Thank you.
Thanks very much. So, where did
how do I hang up?
No.
Technology.
So all done. So I have just now stopped the recording so that it's going to live. And then what I'll do is, where is that? Maybe I'll do it. I'll send you that link afterwards.
Okay.
Okay. No, that was great. Thank you so much, Fiona. It was a great, colorful. I didn't expect that you had so much gone through love for nature, and then all these things were amazing to see that people forget that they can have joy and happiness in little things that they do.
That's
And
right.
and I think that's what is missing in today's world. They think that they can't do anything, particularly, after COVID, they think that I can't do this, I can't do that. But as you rightly said, you have got so much skills, you have to uncover each time what talents you have, what skills you
Yeah.
got. So being into the trying everything or touching everything, every aspect of your journey, including fashion, including modeling, and that's amazing. I think that's amazing. I love you. Sorry.
Well, thank you.
Thanks,
Yeah, it's been
Fiona.
really good talking to you, and
Likewise.
I'm glad there was no phone calls interrupting, so that worked out. So
Yeah.
all
So
right,
take care, and we'll touch base soon. Okay.
okay, all right,
Thank you
brilliant. I'm
so
just gonna
much.
take a little snap. Hold on, let's take one little photo, mate.
Hi.
I'm just taking a photo of our screenshot. So
Oh, sure.
I'm checking in. Hold on. Let's do. Wait for that one to go away. And
Yeah.
smile. Thank you. That's great. All
Thank
right,
you.
Shailesh. Thank you. Right,
Thank you.
bye.